What's up, everybody? Let's get into this Succession episode 8. 2 episodes left to go. America Decides was the name of this episode, and it basically felt like we were just watching a presidential election at night. Incredible job by the crew here, kind of, especially when they're all like British, making this thing, mimicking actual presidential election so well. Again, another pretty confined episode. All our characters were pretty much in the same place. It's an easy one to follow, I think. But yeah, they've been building up to this for a while. Obviously, we had Connor running for president, which comes to a funny conclusion there. But basically, throughout this episode, we have the back and forth, the kind of disorganized stuff at ATN. Kendall and Shiv kind of want to go one way. Roman wants to go another way between the two candidates. They're all basically worried about which of the candidates is going to win, and we need to support that one because they need to block the Gojo deal. And that's basically where we're getting at. Shiv's playing both sides. What'd you think of this episode overall, Nick?
I liked it. I mean, yeah. I thought it was great. It's a really cool... Okay, so I won't go too deep into this, but growing up, I always I had a friend whose mother was on the news. She was an anchor on the news, and we at one point we got to go see the news studio or whatever, and that was kind of the beginning. I was like really little. That was the beginning of the whole like wanting to get into the film industry and everything else. Just seeing the cameras and all the behind the scenes crap, This was a really cool take on looking at an election. I mean, as like normal citizens, when an election happens,
you really don't think of this.
No, there's so much stuff that goes on behind live anything live, right? So that was a cool, interesting kind of moment in and of itself. And then all of the drama is kind of unfolding. Obviously, last week or 2 weeks ago now, I guess, Shiv and Tom got into that huge fight. And I have our pictures here. I have some of them. I might have different ones than what you picked, but I have a lot of them. So this is Shiv confesses that she's pregnant to Tom. And his response is that a tactic? Yeah. How'd you feel about that?
Oh, I thought it was interesting. I think he was definitely blindsided. I think he didn't see that coming at all.
Do you think it was right of her? Like, what I thought it was definitely in character, but I thought it was like a shitty move on her part to kind of like.
But it was also a shitty move for him to say you're not capable of being a mother. So
but I feel like that's why she told him.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
She's just like, I might as well get it all out now, And I think she knew that Tom was already in a fucking crazy position, having to run ATN right now.
Dude, it's literally election night, and she's like, I'm gonna. So I always like to pick a favorite line, or I have always liked to pick a favorite line recently. He said, "How should I frame my face?" It's a very simple thing, but she goes, I want to apologize. She goes, I can't do it to that. He goes, how should I frame my face? As if he's not having the most stressful night of his life.
Right.
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, the acting, again, across the board is so fucking good.
Yeah, and then after he learns that, he kind of just gives her the cold shoulder the rest of the episode here. And most of this episode was Roman, Kendall, and Shiv. It starts off in Kendall and Roman. Well, Kendall and Shiv want to support Jimenez, the Democratic candidate, because Kendall at that time does not know that Shiv's playing both sides. They believe that he's going to win, and they believe that they want him to block the Gojo deal versus Roman, who's very much, I think, a lot like Logan in this episode. He wants Menken, and he knows they have confirmation that if they support Menken, he will drop the Gojo deal. He'll find some way to block that. Well, and then there's a big fire, a riot at one of the voting polls, and
in Wisconsin,
no one knows about like 100,000 ballots.
Absentee ballots.
So so obviously very relevant to the previous election here, where we had a lot of controversy and stuff. So it was, you realize that when they call these elections on the news, it's not guaranteed. Like, they're just making an assumption based on the data that they have
at the time. Yeah.
So it's a huge risk because it's the notoriety of ATN. If they call this one way and it's really not, they're going to get a lot of shit for that. They're going to lose credibility. And also it's the pressure of them knowing that if they pick the wrong guy and the other one wins, the Gojo deal is probably going to go through and there's no way to stop it.
And not to mention the fact that if they don't, so this was the issue, right? So like nobody really likes Menken in the show, but
yeah,
he's gonna help them. So the thing with that, right? Because I watched this episode like 3 times as usual, right? Just so I would be prepped on the notes because I'm an idiot and I forget the stuff. But like if Menken won, but they didn't help him and they didn't pick him, but he still won anyway, then he was going to screw them over.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they did, if he didn't win, they already had a plan in place. Kendall said back in the beginning of this season, like toward the beginning of the season, he divided Shiv and Roman and made it like a competition between the two of them. And he said, "You take care of the what do you call the left-wing people, the Jimenez people?" He called them the minorities or something, and then he looked at Roman and he said, "And you take the fascist Nazis," right?
Yeah.
And Roman, I think he definitely is like Logan, but it's more of like in this specific instance because it's a competition kind of deal.
Yeah.
He's just trying to win.
He knows
like,
what he wants.
He's not thinking, exactly. I think that Shiv, I can't tell if I believe anything that comes out of Shiv's mouth.
Yeah, and I was so glad that she finally got found out.
Oh,
I thought
it was
that
such a
scene
good
was
scene.
Great. And then you have
so good.
Oh, and then so let's talk about that. So obviously they're in the room there. Kendall asks Shiv to call Nate.
Yeah,
he has the in on the other side.
Hold on, we got to back up here because what spawns this is that Roman, like, it's found out that like Menken, Kendall is actually worried that Menken might actually win.
Yes,
and I think that he for a second has a conscience there. We finally do get that recall or reprise back to the very first scene of the episode previous with the daughter.
Yep.
Right. So it like, and Shiv kind of gets under Kendall's skin and makes him a little worried about the possibility of Menken winning. And so he confides in her that like, you know, all this stuff, and she's like, "You're a good guy, Ken. You're a good guy." You know, like totally like playing stroking his ego, like playing him, and he bought it. And then he asks her,
to call Nate
to
to ask if Jimenez would block the Gojo deal if he wins.
Right.
She lies. She doesn't really call.
It was such a good. I didn't get it. First time I watched it, I didn't get it because it says you can hear the guy in the background. Like she goes, "Okay, I'll go call," and then you're inside the room with her.
But you. Oh, see, I have subtitles on, so it's like it was the message you number did not dial.
Yeah, that was so good. I watched. I went, "Oh wow, that's I like that.
So she comes back out. Kendall's like, "I'm gonna double check and call." They obviously we don't hear what happens, but she probably never called.
Don't call.
And then he goes to Greg, which was so good because Greg and Shiv had a interaction before.
Was that not the weirdest way to like say that? You know what she said? Like I got what she meant, but like she was like, "Do you find me attractive, Greg?" And I was like, "What is going on right now?"
Yeah, right. And Greg gets so uncomfortable, but basically. Greg, again, he's always in these positions where, like, he's torn between two sides, and he keeps making the right decision, I think. And he throws Shiv under the bus. He tells Kendall that she's been working with Mattson, and he gives it that great shrug in the window.
Yeah, like, you're nothing.
Yeah,
like, I'm not afraid of you anymore.
Yeah, so, I love this because this, to me, is Greg back in form. Like, he's actually doing stuff now.
100%.
I was glad to see him back there. But, yeah, so now I think, to be honest, Shiv's got to be dead to Kendall.
Yeah, I mean, with 2 episodes left, there's no way that they're gonna rekindle anything. I don't think.
Roman too obviously went behind Kendall's back and called the Menken thing, or he wanted to earlier. You know, he had Ravenwood say some stuff, or the other guy. You know what I'm saying? So he was still defying Kendall a little bit. Then they obviously come together after learning about Shiv.
Yeah, but Kendall is very nervous about Roman's relationship with Menken.
Yes,
Menken likes
Roman. I think Kendall is nervous in general about being in this position, as he expressed to Shiv, even though she really wasn't the best person to confide that to. But I don't know. What do you think now? Because so now Menken wins the election, and kind of like Roman said, it's the president. Like, we go through this all the time and stuff. Not much ends up changing in the grand scheme of things.
But people do freak out.
Yeah, no, there's definitely going to be some reactions. But in terms of the plot of this story, where do we what's happening here?
Well, I mean, we got 2 episodes left. Not much can happen.
I think the funeral's next episode.
It is. Yeah. So this is what I'm kind of weirded out by this.
It's called Church and State.
I wanted your. That's so good. That's so good because church, because of the funeral, and then state. Sure. That's so. They're so good.
Yeah.
Dude, these guys are
it's
so
right.
good. Anyway, we do is stroke HBO and all these guys, but like they're the best. What are you gonna do when you're that good? You're that good. But no, I love that. But I have questions about the season finale. We'll talk obviously when we do our live show and stuff. But I wonder if it's going to be like a flash forward, which would suck. I would hate that. Because if I thought they were going to end the series at the funeral. I thought that would have been a great point to end it. It's been day by day.
But to your point, though, you said it last week. You said how much can really happen in 2 days.
I know, but I just feel like if they like flash forward to like Kendall's,
depends how they do it. It's risky.
80, and he's gonna leave the thing, and you know what I mean? I feel like it'd be so dumb. Oh, that'd be so bad. Which it would just be very disappointing. But how do you end like a great series like this? You know,
that's
that's
the hardest thing to do.
Right. No, the Gojo deal, something weird is going to happen there because Shiv leaves at the end of the episode. I have a million pictures here.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Well, she's gonna throw them under the bus.
I'm glad I grabbed this. This is that shot of him looking at the window. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And Menken too. I have Menken as well.
I don't know. I'm Team Kendall.
For CEO,
although he's been just as a character, like he's been through a lot, but I think recently, like he's kind of becoming more of a character you can root for, you know what I'm saying, after Logan's death and all that stuff. So
I don't see Roman as a CEO material at this point.
Yeah,
because he's
I don't know who. I mean, really, I don't think any of the three should be in that position. But
yeah,
do you think it's going to be one of them?
It might be interesting if we did a flash forward in episode 10 and it was Greg.
That would be funny.
It would be interesting, right?
We did talk about that in the
Tom,
opening. Yeah,
I know.
I don't think it. I mean, Tom just doesn't know what he's doing.
You say that, but like I feel like he's not as. So there are so many great subtle moments.
He's not very assertive in terms of his decision making.
So okay, so hear me out, right?
Yeah.
So there's a really interesting aspect to the show that we see this one side and then we don't see other sides. So like, if you look at the way that Tom. Every time we see Tom, he's usually interacting with someone who's a blood relative of Logan. So he's always going to be the underling. You know what I mean? But when you see him interact with other people that work for him, Greg excluded.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Greg. Greg's related. So he's still, there's a weird dynamic there because Greg's technically higher than Tom.
Yeah.
But all that aside, when Tom's talking to the woman who runs the newsroom, the producer, or he's talking to he's like, I make the decision.
Right.
Like he goes into that boss mode. The guy, what's that guy's name that gets the wasabi in his eye?
Oh, fucking Elliot from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, right? When he's talking to the Roys, right? He's a little he's like, I can make
when he's talking to Tom, yeah.
But when he's doing that meeting in the beginning with the news people and he's like, I need an audible yes. Can I get an I agree? You know, that kind of thing. So, I mean, it's just a weird perspective that we're looking at the show from the owner perspective. Like everyone's always going to be nice to the owner, you know? They're not always going to be nice to they're going to have more of a power dynamic with their underlings. So that's always interesting. So I don't view Tom as not necessarily or like not knowing what he's doing, but he has also moved around a lot in the series.
I don't think he has the support of enough people though. Because I don't think Kendall and unless now that Shiv screwed them over, they're going to turn more to Tom's side.
If you look at the board though and how close they were, without support, just because they're members of the board, how close one of them was to becoming CEO. Now, granted, they took over, but it's business. It's not a personal. It's not an election. It's a weird thing. It's like right time, right place.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They're not going to have a lot of the company. ATN's really all they have right now. So it's. I don't know. It could be weird. I think it would be cool if Greg was the person. I'm gonna
pitch. Can I pitch you the final shot of the show?
Final shot of the show?
I'm pitching you the final scene. All right.
Final scene of episode 10?
Yeah. All right. Ready?
Okay. Damn.
We get a little flash forward, like you said. We're following some secretary through the building, ATN building.
This is what I'm thinking. I know. We're the same.
We're on the back of her. We go into the office. We don't see who's sitting at the desk.
Of course not. Why would we?
But we see an assistant bent over with feet on his back.
All right, Tarantino.
You know what I'm saying?
Bent over with
like Tom used to sit on the assistant. he'd use him as a footstool. We see a guy bent over with feet on, and it pans up, and it's Greg, and he's like,
"See, that would be so great.
And
that'd be so great."
You cut the black,
you know.
He says "fuck off," and then that's it.
Or he's got like gray hair. Oh, if they end on a "fuck off," I'll be very happy.
Yeah,
be very happy. I would totally approve of that, no matter who it is.
Yeah,
I would be very disappointed if it was Shiv at this point.
Yeah. She's just like, she does too many things that piss me off.
Incredibly underqualified, incredibly emotional.
In a show of arrogant and self-righteous people, she's just numero uno for me.
Yeah. But she's also like, Kendall's arrogant, but there was an arc to it.
Yeah.
Shiv is Kendall season 1 right now.
No.
Like in season 1, Shiv had nothing to do with the business. Now that she's like kind of in, but not really. Like, she's just kind of grasping at straws here, running around 100%. Like, oh, we're going to screw him over. We're going to do this and that. Like, it's very erratic.
I agree.
Kendall's moving with, like, precision right now. Like,
he's doing really well. I feel like we always give our power rankings. To me, Kendall is still in a really good spot here.
Yeah.
I agree with you, though, in terms of, like, he still has a shakiness in that role, which I don't know if we'll be able to
He doubts
maintain.
himself.
He does, yeah. Which has always been the issue, because when in doubt, he'd be, "Dad, what do you think?" You know?
Yeah.
In the first episode, when he's like, "Let me call him," when they joke, you going to call your dad with the Volter deal, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he messes it up anyway.
Right. But this is how he's going to learn, so we'll see.
Well, I think that it's a weird thing to say, but sometimes, you know, having that crutch of mommy and daddy or whatever it is, right? It's totally a handcuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, now that he can't call, like he try, and I think that's a very important thing to. That's really good of you too, because like to note that the conversation he has with Shiv is he's trying to find the new Logan.
Yeah,
like he's trying to find that advice that he can get from someone, and she gets caught immediately. You know how I feel about liars, and this is exactly why. Sometimes it's not right away like this. This was like almost instantaneous.
Yeah.
But don't lie, because you always get caught 110% of the time. Shiv tried to like what? You didn't.
She thinks she's smarter than she is.
She thinks she's so much quicker than she is. And it's like, you're dealing with Roman. The kid doesn't even know how to sit in a chair. He's like so whacked out of his mind.
Yep.
He didn't do his and all that Roman cares about, a character like Roman, is winning. He just wants to win. Right now, he had the task. So this is why I don't think he's right for CEO.
No.
Kendall is thinking on, like, I can push buttons, and Roman is a button. I can push buttons, and then he'll do the task. You know what I mean? Roman is just thinking about, get Menken the presidency, get Menken the... He doesn't think about CEO. He doesn't care about that right now. I did think there was an interesting moment, though, after the Tom Shiv, after this fight, Shiv does complain to Roman and Kendall about Tom. And then there was one where he was like, "Shiv, honey, you're acting a little unhinged."
Yeah.
And fuck, Kendall.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is
up.
Tom doesn't have their support, but now after the fact that Shiv's been exposed, maybe he will get some more support.
Right. You never know.
See.
You never know.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. 2 episodes left.
What do you think is going to happen at this? Okay, let me ask you this, right? So with things happening in this series, like wasabi in the eye and, you know, just the craziness, right? Because there's always like a little weird crazy moment. This is like blasphemous to say, and I apologize to Logan Roy in the meantime, but do they like drop the casket? Is he going to be in the kilt?
Oh, you know it's going to be something. He's probably going to be in the kilt. Then they're going to be. They never saw the picture, and
Oh God,
it's going to be a funny episode, I think.
Oh, big moment.
Yeah,
I need to know your thoughts on this before we head out. What is going to happen with Marsha at this funeral? What are your thoughts on where do we go
like
from
the
here?
Secret shadowy figure.
She's been kind of handling all the Logan stuff recently. Season 1, episode 1, they were trying to give Marsha the voting shares when Logan dies. Like, what is going to happen?
I don't know.
Are they going to be blocked from going to the funeral?
She's definitely going to be in control. I don't think she'll block him, but I don't know. Maybe she gives a eulogy and doesn't say great things about the kids.
Well, did you watch the preview for the next episode? Or
no, I did not.
Oh, okay.
No. I stayed away. It's getting too close to the end.
I know. I know.
But yeah, she's going to be up to something.
Definitely. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it's going to be interesting.
I'm pumped.
I'm as always very excited.
Yeah, guys. I mean, that'll do it for today's review, but we got one more episode, and then we're going to do a live stream post episode 10, the series finale of Succession. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed all our commentary and all our guests today. As always, comment down below. What'd you think of Succession? What'd you think of Guardians 3? Send us some questions, too. We'll answer them next week on the podcast. Like, subscribe. It helps out the channel, guys. The Movie Mob Podcast drops every Friday at 6 p.m. We'll see you then. How you doing?